Hello, I plan to say a few words about orality teaching and learning of Portuguese as a foreign language in a distance course. My name is Ayumi Shibayama and the doctoral research was developed by advisor professor Denise Cristina Cruz. This is a research project from Graduated Program in Language at Federal University of Paraná, UFPR, in Curitiba, in the south of Brazil. The project was conducted at the Center of Language Interculturality, CELIN, with the support of the CPEAT, the Coordination of Integration of Distance Education Policies of UFPR. Data was collected between 2016 and 2019. Thesis was defended in March 2020. The main question of this research comes from two aspects. The first one is speaking is important. Expressing fluency in a foreign language is strongly related to the ability to speak. Shapiro and Jamison support the statement when they say, when someone asks you about your language ability, you typically respond by saying, I speak in English rather than I read in English or listen to understand English. Speaking is a term that covers it all for good reason. Speakers have to use the phonology, vocabulary, grammar, and rules of conversation to utterances in real time. So, speaking is an important ability in foreign language and orality as well. The orality is a social practice for communicative purposes in the use of language. A language approach focuses on social action when language is used to accomplish things involves the use of each of these skills speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Years ago, I participated in an online training course for teachers with Moodle platform. The assessment moments took place in written form, as well as the participation in the forums, the delivery of tasks, the conversations in the chat, and the exchange of posts and messages. So here comes the second aspect. In a distance learning context in the Moodle platform, the ways of interacting in the written mode are prior to the spoken mode. Regarding orality in foreign language in a distance learning context of CELIN, the main question is how to implement orality in a foreign language course. Considering the necessity of exploring orality, how can we do this in an online environment? At that time, we had available the 1.9.8 version of the Moodle. Before explaining the methodological aspects, I will present the context of this research. UFPR welcomes foreign exchange students for graduate and undergraduate programs. These students receive classes of Portuguese as a foreign language, EFL, through CELIN. CELIN is the biggest extension program at the university, offers courses about 18 languages on average with 6,000 students per year. The face-to-face courses of Portuguese as a foreign language at CELIN have been offered since its beginning in 1995. In the past few years, CELIN has been designing this BFL distance. The creation of a distance learning course of BFL called PlayAD is to be used to assist foreign students who intend to study Portuguese as a foreign language at CELIN and those who will start their studies from their home before coming to Brazil. The creation of the course involved teachers and professionals from different areas. Design professionals and computer experts were also involved, work with emails and add the content in the Moodle platform. It was due to the partnership with the CPEAD at UFPR that CELIN had the access to the Moodle and the support to host the course. The pilot course was offered in two French university grads who benefit from the cooperation agreement in order to take a double master diploma both through the Federal University of Paraná and University of Grenoble-Alpes. The course is made of thematic units which allowing the learning of the language in a contextualized way. The thematic unit focuses on topics related to the academical, cultural, and social environment of UFPR, like the life in Curitiba, city where UFPR takes place, how to rent a room or an apartment, how to take the bus, how to do the CPF document. The CPF document is a document similar to the Social Security number in the USA. The content also aims at promoting the use of the language in different social practices. Its approach is based on the use of language as an action in the world, learning as a social phenomenon carried out in interaction with others. In order to do so, several tasks using different textual genres are presented. Based on the assumption of the need to orality in foreign language, the present study investigates the aspect of its implementation in distance learning through the experience with the PLEDE project. This is a qualitative research, and the methodological path of this work is based on participant observation, action research, and constructive grounded theory. The main theoretical assumptions considered come from Chalmers, Ireland, Engel, John, Becker, Geer, and Gaskell. The figure illustrates the research process followed in the study. The numbers 1 to 5 represent action research cycles. Each of the cycles involved the completion of research stage, theoretical reflection, considerations about the data, formulation of questions, and hypotheses for new action. Tests and specific studies were also carried out in order to confirm hypotheses and raise other questions. The different research cycles form a set that, in ground theory method, aims to answer our main question: how to implement orality in a foreign language distance. In 2016, I finished my master research, and Cycle 1 used the results from my MA dissertation for initial data collection and definition of provisional categories. In my MA study, data collection took place through step interviews with students. The categories that emerged from the MA data were orality, interaction, culture, and didactic material. So, cycles 2 and 3 were in 2016 and 2017 respectively. At this moment, there was a focused data collection considering the categories mentioned previously in order to answer questions such as: can the didactic material improve the orality? Can the teacher or technological resources help in speaking? The generated data were separated, classified, and synthesized. The data provided new categories that guided the elaboration for the interview script with the teachers, so the questions were about model design, teacher interaction, and technical support. At Cycle 4, an in-depth interview with the teachers of the pedagogical team took place. The interviews with 2 teachers lasted from 50 to 60 minutes and were transcribed for the content analysis. Data from the interviews were analyzed in order to guide the creation of a didactic sequence of PLEAD and to propose a template for the graphical interface of the Moodle. Cycle 5 includes writing the draft for a theory building. In this case, we made a proposal for improvements to the project. Important points were raised from the teachers participants about the categories. Now, I share with you 6 statements from the data interview. The first one, language as a social practice. To be able to speak is very important because they need to get here in Brazil to talk to people. About the role of the teacher, in a person's life in general, we talk a lot, we talk more than we write, so I think that we teachers have to prepare these students for everything. Here, the teacher was talking about skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Data revealed the importance of a conversation. Nothing replaces a conversation, asynchronous conversation, at the same time. Nothing substitutes because you don't know what the person will ask about. And this is important for the meaning construction. There's that surprise thing. One thing is to memorize speaking phrases, sentences, dialects, and another thing is to have the naturalness of a conversation. About feedback, one teacher said, teacher has to give this feedback, he has to correct it, he has to guide them, the students. It's interesting to give feedback. About technical support, one participant said the technical part is very important in the distance course, and if it doesn't have a good format, there's no wonderful tutor who can handle it. Data in this study show that the answers to the question are related to the interaction. Constructive ground theory method consider looking at the literature after developing analysis. So I searched for authors to develop the concept of interaction. According to the dictionary, interaction would be the reciprocal influence, two or more elements. According to Leffa, a contact between beings of the same or different nature, such as between people or between people and objects. Contact produces change in each of the participants. In this case, the interaction in foreign languages course, for example, affects the actors involved in teaching and learning, in the construction of knowledge. Considering the teaching and learning panorama of distance learning of PFL at Selim and necessity of working with notions related to understanding and expressing ideas both in the written and the spoken forms, an alternative for such work is in the interaction to build meaning and acquire language following the assumptions of defended by Bakhtin and Vygotsky. Moore and Kersley also defend the topic. For these authors, the efficiency of the distance learning modality depends on understanding the nature of interactions, how to make them easier by means of communication in virtual learning environments. The authors distinguish three types of interaction: the interaction between student and the content, with the tutor teacher, and with other students. In the first type, the interaction with the students and the content results in the construction of his or her own knowledge. In the second type, the tutor teacher helps the students in the articulation with the content while raising interest and contribution for the practice of the topics being approached. In the third type, we have a new dimension for the teachers, as this one aims at fostering debates, promoting group work, and constructing knowledge in a collaborative form. LEFA differentiates four aspects of interaction: from the person with the contents, with colleagues, with the teachers, and with instruments, which also can be written or oral, synchronous or asynchronous. Orality then can be better implemented through synchronous or asynchronous interactions with the content, actors, and instruments involved. The figure shows the interactions that we can explore in a language course considering orality, speaking, and listening skills. As we can see in synchronous mode, they happen together. Here there's a big difference. In the face-to-face courses, oral interactions naturally take place because the students and teachers share the same physical space. In a virtual environment, we have a synchronous and asynchronous mode. With this information, I look back to the course to analyze the oral interactions. When analyzing the Pleiade course, a product from work and discussions both in practical and theoretical terms, I noticed activities related to written comprehension and expression and activities of oral comprehension, such as tasks, activities involving questionnaires, forums, chat, video, audios, writings, listening as well. I could not help noticing the lack of activities related to oral expression activity that put students in synchronous interaction and real use of the language. In its four editions, Pilates content explored mainly student-written interactions with the course content. There was not synchronous interaction in the distance. In 2018, we did an experimental course using Pilates with face-to-face classes in a hybrid mode. Synchronous oral interactions between students in the course took place in the 2015 and 2017 editions through videos and audios, only once in each of them. The results indicate that the interaction of the students with the instrument when it presents technical flaws can hinder the process, preventing the student learning. The results also reveal that for a course focused on language teaching as a social action, orality can be implemented through proposals that invite students to synchronous or asynchronous interaction with the content, with the actors, and with the instruments involved for negotiation of meanings and constructive and collaborative proposal of knowledge. Now I want to share with you some results from the research, emphasizing the main points of what I have learned. Meaning is constructed in the interaction by the interaction. When we talk, ask, and answer questions. When we make ourselves understood, and even when people don't understand what we are talking about, especially in this case because we have to reformulate our speech and make any sense for the purpose of the conversation. And this is an example of using the language as a real practice. When we are designing a foreign language course, it's important to consider interaction between the actors involved. We can learn a language in many ways, and especially when we use it in a social practice context. If we consider the individual as a social being, and if we understand that the learning takes place also through interaction, in a distance learning course, one of the teacher's role would be promoting the interaction with students and among the students. We can do it in a course preparing activities that invite them to accomplish tasks through oral interactions in pair or in groups, and also with integrated tasks which explore different skills. We can list the technologies that we have available and match them with different ways of interaction, including oral synchronous mode. Interaction is important for students and teachers, especially in the aspect of the feedback. At the research, one hypothesis was the possibility of working only asynchronously. Teachers and students said yes if we have a personalized feedback. Feedback helps teachers and students to improve the pedagogical process. With feedback, we can teach better. As students, we can improve proficiency. Once the distance learning modality is an alternative for the different face-to-face courses offered at CELIN, this project is making a contribution for the continuous training of teachers for foreign language courses in the distance learning modality. In 2021, Pleiade has been part of a course which combined different parts of synchronous and asynchronous oral and written interactions. To finish, I would like to say that an online course in a distance learning environment needs to focus in the interaction with the actors involved, the content, and the technology. Especially in foreign language learning, it's important to consider and promote oral interactions, combining synchronous asynchronous mode, matching them in different ways, students, teachers, content, and technology. We can teach better. We can learn better. That concludes my talk for today. Thank you for taking time to listen to my presentation. If you have any comment, you can write here or send us email. I will be happy to answer any questions.